Greetings, fellow traveler. This is Robin on the Road, your concierge for all things travel. And today I'd like to take you on the road with me to Mount Airy, North Carolina, the birthplace of Andy Griffith and the town he based Mayberry on. Pack your bags, let's go. Please smack that bell and subscribe, and a like or a rumble is much appreciated. On a recent on-the-road trip to North Carolina, I had the pleasure of visiting Mount Airy. The town is used as the backdrop for Mayberry because this was where Andy Griffith was born. The town has gone out of its way to keep the hometown community feel of friends and family. They have succeeded completely. The pride and love the citizens have for this small North Carolina town greets you when you step into the visitor center. Information is provided with Southern charm, smiles, and a desire for you to enjoy your visit. We decided to take one of the car tours and get a layout for the town and the sights to be seen there. The visitor center called ahead to Wallys Garage to book us a tour. You can either walk or drive, but being a beautiful North Carolina day, we chose to walk to Wallys. The town is beautiful, and we noticed right away the incredible churches and buildings constructed from a honey-colored stone. The homes along the way are historic and early Americana. Our tour guide and vehicle were both fun and interesting. We had the pleasure of riding in a 1967 Ford Custom 500 police car. The tour has a car from each year the Andy Griffith Show was on TV, 1960 to 1967. The car has been beautifully restored, and the driver began the tour with his foot on the pedal and the police siren blaring.
Yep, hit it. All bet the kids love that.
Other words, we began with big smiles. There are several stops, and the tour takes about 45 to 50 minutes. The car is $50 whether your group has 2 people or 5 people. Our first stop was the Quarry, with the show story about Opie skipping stones into the water at the quarry at the beginning of the Andy Griffith Show. In 1890, a gentleman by the name of Woodruff came to Mount Airy and purchased 90 acres of rock at 60 cents an acre. His company has been in business for 130 years mining granite. At one time employing 1,000 men working at back-breaking labor, today machines do most of the work with less stone wasted. This is the stone half the town is built with. The rock is 7 miles long, almost 1.5 miles wide, and archaeologists estimate that it's 8,000 feet deep. The deeper they go, the wider the granite becomes. On our way to the quarry, our tour guide told us about the town's other famous citizen, singer Donna Fargo. Born and raised in Mount Airy, she made it to California and cut the record, "I'm the happiest girl in the whole USA." She then moved to Nashville, had a couple more hit records, and a TV show. July of 2023, Donna Fargo returned to her hometown and was Grand Marshal of the town's parade at the age of 82. Andy Griffith was born in Mount Airy in 1926 to a very poor but loving family. He attended Haymore Baptist Church on the south end of town. One day in his teen years, he heard the Moravian church band and was taken by what he heard. He asked the preacher to teach him how to play one of the brass instruments. All through his teen years, he attended the Moravian church and learned how to play the trombone and the tuba. The people of the church thought a lot of him and made him a deal. Upon his graduation from high school, they would send him to Chapel Hill and pay for his college if he would return and become their pastor. At some point during his education, he decided that he did not want to become a pastor, but wanted to go into music and acting. Hearing this, the church pulled their money except for a few parishioners who will pool their funds together and fund him so he's able to complete his 4-year degree at Chapel Hill, where he will meet his first wife, Barbara. He will be married a total of 3 times. Also, while in college, he wrote and produced his first record called What It Is to Play Football, a comedy that is available today on YouTube where Andy tells everyone how to play football even though he had never played the game in his entire life. The record will sell over 50,000 copies, and Andy will be able to sell the rights for $10,000, a considerable amount at that time. After graduating college, Andy and Barbara will move to Manteo, North Carolina, and star in the Lost Colony play, which is still conducted during the summer there today. After a period of time, Andy decides to move to New York City, where he tries out for the play No More Time for Sergeant, a role he gets, which will eventually be made into a movie, and he will have success at this. Don Knotts also auditions for this play, and this is where the 2 men will meet and become friends. In fact, their friendship is so deep that Andy Griffith was holding Don Knotts' hand when he passed away. Like Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, this relationship became television gold, and it's thought that the Andy Griffith Show would not have lasted were it not for the addition of Don Knotts and his tremendous comic timing. Andy had signed a 5-year contract to do the show, and he had told Don that at the end of the contract, he was going to leave the show. So Don, needing to work, went out and found another job. Meanwhile, Andy Griffith changed his mind about continuing the show, but sadly, Don was tied up in his new contract. The show will make a major change and go from the Andy Griffith Show to Mayberry RFD. For 5 years, the Andy Griffith Show had been shot in black and white. Mayberry RFD will be shown in color. However, without Don Knotts on the set, it will not be the same show, and it does not last. Andy and Barbara are not able to have children of their own, so they adopt a brother and sister, a boy they named Andy Jr., and a daughter they call Dixie. Sadly, Andy Jr. will pass away from a drug overdose at the age of 38. However, Dixie is alive and lives in Colorado and returns every year in September for the Mayberry Days in order to play one of the good time girls from the show. The 3rd week in September every year, the town celebrates Mayberry RFD Days, a week-long celebration of Andy Griffith and the TV show, with the highlights being on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Apparently, 20,000 to 30,000 visitors come every year for the celebration. There are reenactors, music, food, and a parade on Saturday. Sounds like a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to attending. The First Baptist Church of Mount Airy is an excellent example of the granite mine. Originally built in 1907, the church has been added onto over the years, and you can see the different color of the granite stone, as it started off as kind of a dark color when it was built in 1907, and then the middle portion becomes sort of a honey color, and the new portion added in 1970 is almost white. North Main Street is a historical part of town, and the homes are required to be maintained the way they were originally built. You can do whatever you want on the inside. However, if you tear something down on the outside, you have to put it back the way it looked originally. This house was built in 1919 from the quarried granite. The house has a slate roof, and the granite has been hand chiseled. The windows are original to the home. All the homes on North Main Street have front porches. As we continue into downtown on Main Street, the driver gives us some recommendations on where to eat, and we also pass that Mount Airy Regional Museum. However, it was closed on Monday, and I was not able to go, so darn, I'll have to come back. As we make a left off Main Street, the driver relays a story to us about the episode where Jimmy the goat eats dynamite and Barney and Andy think that the goat is going to blow up. So a well-thinking entrepreneur opened a nice restaurant here that's named the Loaded Goat. The love of this town has been passed down from generation to generation, and even today, the kids who live here still love the Andy Griffith Show. A progression of life mural has been painted, beginning on the left with young Andy and ending with his appearance, how he looked when he was on Matlock. If you look at the center of the painting, behind Andy's face in the background, you will see an image of Pilot Mountain. We drove past Pilot Mountain on our way to Mount Airy. It stands 2,421 feet tall and is truly an incredible geological formation. Looking at this mural, you can honestly say that Andy Griffith had extremely intense eyes. The Andy Griffith Museum and Playhouse are part of the old elementary school Andy attended as a boy. We will return here later for a tour. The boyhood home of Andy Griffith tells the story of his young life. Andy's dad worked at the furniture factory in town. His family would stay with friends and relatives until they needed to move on. His parents purchased the home when Andy was 9 years old. The house did not look as it does today. It was a single room with a loft. There was no indoor plumbing or electricity. Once Andy's career took off, he was able to update his parents' house. He added several rooms, a porch, and modern conveniences. He will eventually move his parents to California to watch over them in their advanced years. They pass away and are buried in California. Today, you could rent Andy Griffith's house as an Airbnb. Plan ahead, it's very popular. Andy Griffith passes away in July of 2012 at the age of 86. His Moravian faith means that he has to be buried within 4 to 5 hours of his death. He chooses to not be embalmed and did not want the public to know about his death for a period of time. What he didn't want were thousands of people to flood Manteo. He does achieve his quiet passing. According to our guide, they receive visitors from over 140 countries from around the world. What he found is that they're not so much there to see the birthplace of Andy Griffith as much as they are to experience the Mayberry lifestyle. Most people he encountered want to step back in time to a small town where everyone knew their neighbors. Not to say that life was easy in a one-room house with no water or electricity. That would be challenging under the best of circumstances, but a simpler time when there was work, school, church, and community as a part of your life. Wallys Garage is a location that actually made it to the Andy Griffith Show. Today, it's the location of the police cruiser tours and a small gift shop. Also, Goober Pile's tow truck is here, as well as the Darlin's Cabin out back and their large moonshine pickup truck. Next door to Wallys Garage is the Mayberry Inn and the Old Courthouse. Stepping inside the courthouse is like stepping on the set of the Andy Griffith Show. The jail with the photo of Otis and Andy's desk both look the same. Both cells have televisions. The building housing the courthouse and the Mayberry Inn caught fire last year. While the courthouse was spared, there is a strong smell of smoke. Out front of the courthouse, there are the names of the cast members of the Andy Griffith Show. We decided to have lunch at Barneys Cafe, and I can tell you it was a really amazing experience. Like most of the places in the town, the menu is like stepping back in time. We enjoyed cheeseburgers and malts, and lunch cost about $20, if you can imagine that nowadays. Plus the memorabilia honoring Don Knotts on the wall was really enjoyable to go through and look at. The town, as you can imagine, is full of gift shops and candy stores like Opie's Candy Store, which is next door to Floyd's Barber Shop. Also, you can go into Ellie's Cafe, a place that Andy Griffith actually worked at the lunch counter serving food. It would be difficult to not go home with a little piece of Mayberry. Plus, everywhere we went, the townspeople of Mayberry, from Barney's Cafe to the shops and candy stores, all welcomed us with smiles on their faces and that wonderful Southern charm. There's artwork all over the town, including the mural of Donna Fargo and the Coca-Cola 5-cent mural. There's artist-inspired guitars and banjos, but what was really interesting was the wall of carved brick sculptures. Honoring people who had lived in Mount Airy, they were both fascinating and spooky to look at. Outside of the Andy Griffith Museum is a statue of Andy and Opie going fishing from the beginning of the show. Donated by TV Land, it reads, "A simpler time, a sweeter place, a lesson, a laugh, a father and a son." The museum is a labor of love, and as you enter in the lobby, look at the wall to your right. What really stands out is how many times Andy Griffith returned to his hometown. You begin your tour by taking a stroll with Andy. Andy is shown as a boy all the way up through his time at Chapel Hill University. Andy's records, plus the 7 years that he played in the Lost Colony play that runs during the summer months about the Lost Colony of the Outer Banks. From there, we get into Andy's career. His movie, No Time for Sergeants. Then, of course, Mayberry. Plus, there were a whole lot of other movies and plays that I was not aware that Andy Griffith was in. He could sing, act, and it kept him very busy. But it's his role as himself on the Andy Griffith Show and Mayberry RFD that takes up a majority of the museum. It's here where they have Barney's suit, Andy's guitar, a bronze cap from Goober Pyle. There's memorabilia here from Otis, his suit and straw hat, plus the sets from the TV show. I grew up watching Andy Griffith in black and white as a father and then in color on Mayberry RFD for a few years. But really, I remember him more as Matlock. And it's here where they have his white suit. What really stands out, besides Andy's roles and the memorabilia that they have, is that Mount Airy honors Andy Griffith. But in return, Andy Griffith also honored Mount Airy. Downstairs, the museum honors Mount Airy's adopted resident, Betty Lynn. Betty Lynn plays Thelma Lou, Barney's love interest on the Andy Griffith Show, and she will come several times for the Mayberry Days. In 2007, she will stay in Mount Airy for 3 to 4 weeks and fall in love with the area and its citizens. She tells the people of Mount Airy that she will be back to live. Returning to California, she sells and packs up everything she owns and comes back. Moving into a retirement center, she will live out the last 14 years of her life, having never been married and no family. She will be treated like family by the residents of Mount Airy, passing away in 2022 at the age of 95. The memorabilia she collected during her career is displayed here, and you can hear in her own words how much she loved her senior years here, how welcoming the people of the town were, and how they became her family. And that's the feel you get when you're in this small North Carolina town, that you're part of their family. I can highly recommend Mount Airy the next time you are in North Carolina. The town has the most amazing, uplifting feeling that you can't wait to come back here again. And believe me, I will be. Things to know before you go. Mount Airy sits very close to the Virginia border in northwest North Carolina. The Mayberry Squad Car Tours are open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5, and Sunday, 10 to 4. They're closed Christmas and Thanksgiving, and they do close for inclement weather, so call ahead if you're not sure. The cost is $50 a carload, cash only, and about 5 to 6 people can ride in this classic Ford. This is a great way to visit the sites available with history on the town, the show, Andy, the Mayberry Days, and the cast who often returned. Tuesday through Saturday is the best time to visit Mount Airy, as Sunday places open late and many are closed on Monday. The Andy Griffith Museum is open Monday through Saturday 9 to 5 and Sunday 1 to 5, closed at Christmas and Thanksgiving. Admission is $8 per adult and $6 for children 12 and under. Allow about an hour to an hour and a half. Mobility impaired can be accommodated here. Andy Griffith's home place is available for rent. A 2-night minimum stay is required, and prices start about $550 for the 2 nights depending on what time of year you stay. Breakfast is included and available through the Hampton Inn. Plan ahead if you want to experience this because it is very popular. There are other lodgings available in the town. I will provide links to all of these in my description. For this on-the-road trip, I chose to stay about 25 minutes away in Winston-Salem at the Kimpton Cardinal Hotel. Lastly, I would like to thank you, fellow traveler, for joining me on a trip to Mount Airy, North Carolina for the Mayberry experience. Please smack that bell and subscribe, like, rumble, and share my videos. I ask you, what did you think of Mount Airy? Is this a location where you would come and stay? Let me know in the comments below. And check out my latest video on the Kimpton Cardinal Hotel, a historic downtown treasure in downtown Winston-Salem. Until next time, this is Robin on the Road, your concierge for all things travel, and I hope to see you out there on a road of your own. Until then, safe travels.